Well, of course, more or less every winter we talk about the polar stratosphere and the prospects of the disruption or complete collapse of that polar vortex, which, as many of you already know, can lead to a major Arctic outbreak across not only the UK, Europe, but also the Northern Hemisphere. And at this very moment in time, it's actually looking pretty much the opposite of what you would want to see uh, for a prolonged period of severe winter weather across the British Isles in particular here. This is the GFS 10 meter temperature or 10 HPA temperatures within the stratosphere here, and you can see as I speak, we've got a very strong polar vortex at the moment that is centered literally just off the axis here. Now, of course, it feels like a lifetime that we've been speaking about the warming taking place from Europe around the edge of that vortex through Siberia and whatnot. And there has been kind of teases of that warmth strengthening over Eurasia and then starting to take a kind of attempt at pushing over top of the pole. Now, to produce a sudden stratospheric warming, we need to see a rapid rise in temperature and that warmth spreading its way right over top of the Arctic here to force the collapse of the vortex. And really, up until now, um, we've seen the attempt being made, but the vortex is simply just kind of bounced around like a balls in a pinball machine. The vortex itself has maintained its overall shape actually, and as well as that, its strength here. And it looks as if, certainly going by the latest models, the ECMWF has never been overly enthusiastic about a major strat warming taking place. The GFS had been hinting at it, but it's now starting to back away from that idea. So as we go towards the middle and into the second half of the winter season, there is not a great deal of evidence to support, at this moment in time anyway, a sudden stratospheric warming. Now, that being said, folks, I personally believe that there has been a tremendous effect on the atmosphere due to two aspects: the very, very warm North Atlantic and also the warmth, which may be correlated as well, the very, very warm autumn that we've seen over the British Isles. And of course, we've seen crazy warmth during the month of September. And if you look back at the data of the Central England temperature, the CET, the average temperature of the CET during the month of September of 2021 was so high that if you look back, and this is information that Shryan Bruin and Richard Trott and Gavin Partridge had alluded to. So check out these guys if you don't already, because they have made the reference that we had such a warm. I can't remember the exact figure, but we had such a warm Central England temperature during the month of September, and any kind of match to that average temperature of the CET during September has never produced a cold winter in the British Isles. And there's always a first, I suppose, but that is not necessarily a particularly good omen as we go forward. Now, I know a lot of people very disappointed thus far about the winter, and unfortunately, based on the polar vortex and the behaviour of it, the strength of it, and the model solutions, it doesn't look as if it's going to help us out uh, at the very least through the rest of January. What we're seeing is a strong westerly influence here, and that probably is correlated to the strength of the polar vortex. It has ramped up the strength of the westerlies, and we're seeing a strong Atlantic jet stream ripping across the Atlantic and essentially pushing out major cold weather out of at least Western Europe, if not the whole of Europe. But I know that's not the case because we're still holding on to some very cold weather across the northern half of the continent here. But let's play it through the loop and you can see here what I'm talking about. So fairly strong warming, Eurasia, and the modelling is trying to push that warmth towards the pole. Yes, it's pushing it off the axis, i.e. the North Pole, and pushing it kind of down towards the north of Greenland, but it's not strong enough, this warmth, to therefore weaken the vortex itself, and therefore is simply bobbing around within the Arctic Circle here, and that is not necessarily what you want to see with regards to prolonged winter cold across Europe here. So we're just going to have to watch this space. I'm afraid here it's not the most enthralling prospect for winter weather, that's for sure. Looking at the GFS 2 meter temperatures here over the pole, and what is quite interesting about this, as we play through the loop, what you'll see is the Arctic air, the Siberian air, and this could, in a sense, be correlated to what's going on with high up in the atmosphere here. We're starting to see this kind of slosh of cold from Siberia crossing over the top of the pole and towards both Greenland and North America here. You would almost think, even though it probably isn't related, you would almost think there was a connect between the stratosphere way up at 10 HPA to what's going on down at the surface. The reason why I say that, folks, is because we're essentially seeing cold air crossing from Siberia over top of the pole into North America and into Greenland here. Now, the one saving grace that we may have, we're going to keep the Atlantic running. It's going to continuously affect our weather, and it's going to always try to at least deflect cold away from the UK. That is essentially what's taking place here. The one saving grace would be that some of that cold air that's getting transported from Siberia over top of the pole into North America, into Greenland, could start to feed that jet and allow buckling to take place. So in other words, starts to make the jet stream become more wavy. So we get lobes of warm air getting transported north, we get cold air coming south, and of course, even though it's a transient nature to this setup here, what you have is the opportunity of colder weather coming down towards our side of the pole, but the jet stream itself periodically taking these wild swings north and south to the west of the British Isles. Now, we are going to get surges of mild, that's for sure, but we may also get surges of Arctic air into the pattern here, and that would be the saving grace in terms of seeing spells of snow and spells of cold across the UK here. So we'll play through the loop here, and you can see what I'm talking about. You've got that slosh effect. You've got essentially jet stream winds connecting Siberia with the Baffin Straits, for example. So it's transporting air from the other side of the pole towards our side of the pole, or at least North America, Greenland. Continuing to feed a strong jet stream, but of course, when you push colder air against a jet stream, against warm air, you then create a stronger imbalance, and that can start to kind of flex the jet, forcing it to move, to buckle, and of course drive milder air north, colder air south here. So that is certainly worth paying attention to, and you can see here a big lobe of cold air crossing over the top of the pole, merging with cold air over Greenland, over Hudson Bay, and of course you have to keep in mind that the jet is still rolling underneath that, and like I say, we get these kind of buckles taking place here. And the GFS is actually highlighting a major shot of cold air. One model run, it'll probably disappear on the models, and we'll get excited, then we'll see it disappearing once again. But it's certainly at least a consolation at the very least that we have the chance of seeing these waves of cold coming down aboard a strong westerly jet stream here. So you see these pulses of cold air crossing the top of the pole. Now, if we look at the GFS, this is the 150 millibar temperature here. and you can see here the Atlantic roaring as we've seen so far, and of course we've got these spells of mild and cold here coming into the British pattern here. High pressure is going to build over the British Isles in the coming days here, and of course that doesn't necessarily mean mild temperatures at the surface. Where you get the core of the high pressure, you stay cooler, frostier by night, foggy as well. So we hold on to essentially below normal temperatures. Of course, you get over to the periphery of these areas of high pressure, you pick up more wind, and of course, with southwest winds, you have warmer air associated with that. So as we push into the new working week, what we're essentially going to see is westerly winds bringing milder air to Scotland. Closer to the centre of that area of high pressure over England and Wales, you might actually have colder than normal temperatures. So warmer across Scotland, colder across England and Wales here. Essentially what the key is where that area of high pressure goes as we go forward here. And of course you've still got the pressure of the Atlantic jet stream here. So that area of high pressure becomes established for a time. But of course, it's where that area of high pressure goes to is going to be key here. So like I say, that area of high pressure could go anywhere as we go forward here. Now let's skip through the latest run of the GFS. And this is, of course, like I say, the 850 millibar temperatures here. We'll play through the loop. There's cold, there's warm. The area of high pressure builds over the British Isles here, of course. And of course, there is a disconnect between 850 millibars and the surface. But you can see here the cold air gathering to the north of the British Isles. And then what happens is we start to see the warmer air and the jet take a northward track over the North Atlantic here, and essentially opens the door to a discharge of Arctic air into the UK pattern towards next weekend here. And that certainly would be probably the coldest shot of the entire winter across the British Isles. So in essence, folks, after a long-winded explanation here, and you've probably got bored, is that even though the polar vortex is stronger than normal, even though the westerlies are still blowing hard, we have the possibility of intrusions of Arctic air into the winter pattern here. And we'll just have to continue to watch this space as we go forward here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Of course, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll hopefully be back again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.